Today, we're going to be deleting the weakest country every 5 years until there's only one country left. 95% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you want to see more videos like this, which I'll be posting every single day, please subscribe. The first elimination is going to happen in 2030, so we're going to give them an extra 1 year to see who really is the weakest here, but, you know, it's going to be very interesting. Luxembourg is the first nation to go down. Rest in peace to them, but honestly, for the first couple years, there's just going to be a lot of micronations, places like Andorra, the Vatican City, maybe. I don't know necessarily if they're even on this map, but just really small nations are likely to be the first ones to die here just because they will be the weakest in terms of land area. So we'll see how it goes. I'd honestly say early predictions for a winner. I'm going to say China. China is going to be my winner here, but it has hit 2030, so let's see who the weakest nation is. The weakest nation right now, there's a ton of really weak nations, but Kosovo is the weakest nation so far. Rest in peace to them. They're going to get destroyed. Okay, let's see who is the weakest nation now. And we can't show that little leaderboard because I want it to be a little bit more of a surprise every time we find the weakest nation. There's a lot of countries going down. I'd honestly say nothing really crazy has happened. Maybe some stuff in Europe, like Poland died. Wow. But I mean, nothing like really like life-changing crazy, because all of the European nations are pretty, like, I don't want to say boring, but I'm saying like they always are going to kill each other. So we're going to see what really happens. Nothing really insane, but we do have another 5 years happen, and Cyprus is a loser here. Cyprus dies. I mean, the thing is, nothing's going to really happen in terms of crazy, like, big nations dying for a while. So we're just kind of getting rid of the really easy, really weak ones who are extremely small at the moment. And US versus Canada did a little fight, but nothing crazy. Oh, Russia's getting attacked by Belarus, and Russia could die right here. Yeah, Russia does die. That's kind of interesting. Now we got China. I mean, they were my pick at the very beginning of the game, and they're looking a lot better than I would kind of expect. Japan's also looking good. I was thinking of picking them as well, but yeah, all these nations are just eating up all the land from Russia, and that was the biggest nation before in the game, and now we're going to see who the weakest one is. So the weakest one is good old Senegal. So rest in peace to them. They had basically no land, so it's not like it really mattered, but Indonesia also goes down. That's kind of crazy in the corner here. A lot of stuff is happening in Europe, but Portugal is the owner of the Iberian Peninsula, so that's pretty cool in its own right. Italy goes down, and Slovenia is a pretty strong nation right now. I mean, in Europe at least. Like, they're not really a strong nation overall. Mali goes down. That's pretty cool. And we're coming up on another 5-year time. And let's see who the weakest nation is now. Still a ton of like really small nations. Jamaica is the weakest one at the moment. I think we need to speed it up a little bit just because I think I'm going to delete 2 next time just because these nations are all so small. And we have 116 of them. So deleting 2 every 5 years isn't really that crazy. So yeah, let's just do that. Or I'm going to say 2050, we're going to delete 5 nations. I feel like that makes the most sense. We're just going to get rid of a lot of these island nations that don't really have any land and wouldn't really do anything. So coming up, and you know, some stuff has happened, but it has hit the year of 2050. So Lebanon, you're done. Qatar, done. The Gambia, done. Solomon Islands, rest in peace. Bahamas, rest in peace. I think there's one more to do. Maybe I got one too many down, but Belize is also gone. And I think next year, 2055, I'm also going to do 5 nations because there still is 100 nations left plus. And I just think deleting a lot of the small ones is going to make it a lot easier for a lot of the larger ones to blob up a little bit more and start a lot of more of this crazy kind of fighting. So we're going to see. And honestly, this is a really interesting one because Timor-Leste, who would have been one of the smallest nations at the beginning of the game, is now pretty strong. So now we're in 2055 and 5 more nations got to go down. Montenegro, Bhutan, rest in peace. Bangladesh, actually a formerly strong nation. They're gone. UAE, you're gone. Sierra Leone, you're gone. So now, like, at least if we're deleting a nation right now, they're at least somewhat strong. I'd still say a lot of them are extremely weak, but I'm going to say every 5 years, it's going to be 3 nations from now on. I don't want to be deleting like huge nations every time, but I want to get a lot of these smaller nations out of the game immediately. So now we're in 2060, and, some crazy stuff has happened, but it still feels like there's not really any super big people ahead of everyone. Like there's no one that's like fully blobbing into a huge nation. And now that we got rid of Taiwan and Tajikistan, and I don't know who the other one was, but Argentina goes down. That's pretty interesting. China's not looking that great. Mongolia is kind of doing a big number on them. And yeah, it could be rest in peace China right here. And no, they are still surviving, but it does not look good for China at all, I'd say at the moment. Timor-Leste goes down. They were one of my favorites for a while, and now we get to delete 3 more nations. Lithuania. Okay, see, now they're getting like reasonably sized. So I think at this point, after South Korea dies right here, rest in peace to South Korea, I think we can go down to 2 nations for the time being, because they are getting like moderately sized. Oh, Canada goes down to the United States. A lot happened. China goes down. So Mongolia is a huge nation. Wow, there's a lot of stuff kind of happening. And Malaysia goes down. DRC goes down. Just crazy happenings. So yeah, 2 nations are going to die here. Armenia, rest in peace to you guys. Being the weakest nation, and Bulgaria. You just got to get more land, Bulgaria. Bulgaria really doesn't even look that bad. They literally just look like the same size from the beginning of the game. And now Slovenia has also gone down. So Portugal is very strong. Like, look at them. They've kind of spanned across the Atlantic and have the entire crossing there. Brazil looks pretty good in South America. And a lot of stuff's kind of happening in Asia, in Africa. Like, there's not really any clear powers there, but very interesting nonetheless. We're going to get rid of South Africa. Rest in peace to you guys somehow. Also, rest in peace to Suriname. So now I'd say I'm just going to go for 1 nation at a time. We have 59 nations left. Basically the same as if we just had a U.S. state battle royale. And Papua New Guinea and Myanmar go down. This is really interesting. Vietnam, pretty solidly strong. India, still looking good. Pakistan goes down. Turkmenistan goes down. And yeah, Brazil looks really good in South America. And I don't know, it's just kind of crazy, all the people that are still alive here. But now we hit 2080, Guinea-Bissau, very small nation, was probably going to die pretty soon. So I'm going to make it a little quicker for them. But yeah, this is kind of crazy. You still have someone like Sudan, who's, I'd say, doing still pretty well at this time. Angola goes down. Japan is actually looking pretty good against Mongolia out here. They've taken over a lot of land. Just a lot of people are just starting to die. Zambia is revolting. But now we have another person who's going to die. It's going to be Oman. Rest in peace to you guys. You guys were already a puppet, but now you guys are officially gone. Yeah, Brazil is doing amazing in South America. Like, way better than I would have thought. Like, Brazil always does well, but they're kind of just the South American kings right now. And Mauritania is also doing amazing. And it's just a lot of the weirder nations, I'd say, are like kind of doing well here. Like, of course, the United States is doing well. Portugal was doing great. Azerbaijan also goes down. Rest in peace, Syria. You guys gotta go. But yeah, like looking at Europe, it's like Germany is still doing well. UK is still doing well, but like Romania is big here. Belarus is big. It's very, very interesting who is big, and like it's just not the normal nations this time. And now we go to the year of 2095, and we have Kyrgyzstan. Rest in peace to you guys. Just slowly but surely, everyone's getting whittled down to leave just the strong nations. But yeah, I feel like not much has really happened in the last couple of years. I think I'm going to speed it up. And instead of every 5 years after this one, Libya goes down. Australia also goes down. Oh my God. Okay, 2100, get rid of Guinea. Rest in peace to you guys. But I'm going to say now, instead of every 5 years, it's going to be every 10 years, we just get one nation down. Just because I feel like that makes the most sense. Ethiopia goes down as well. A lot of people are just kind of getting eaten right now. Bolivia goes down. The United Kingdom is now a puppet. Finland goes down to Belarus. Romania gets conquered by Greece. Very, very interesting. A lot of fights are just quickly happening. Afghanistan gets conquered by India. Oh, just so many deaths in the recent couple of years. We're only down to 34 nations left. Kind of crazy. And there's Iraq and United Kingdom all going down in one fell swoop. And Venezuela as well. You are going to be the one nation, the weakest one in the world, and you are going to die. Very interesting. Brazil is still doing extremely well in South America, and it looks like they might almost be fully done with the entire continent. They are, looks like, about to take over Peru. Looks like it's a little bit harder than I would have expected to take over Peru, but yeah, there's Paraguay, and look like they have Peru. They basically could take over Chile. Kind of insane there. Belarus is also doing just insanely well in Europe. It looks like they might get Norway. And yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting to see who is the leader here. Just a lot of really weird nations that I would not have expected. And Peru, rest in peace to you guys. You guys are basically already a puppet, so it kind of makes sense that you guys should lose your land here. Like, look at this. This is the Philippines. And now it looks like they might do a lot of damage to Japan here, maybe even capitulating them. And just like very interesting to see who is like winning here, because looking at the top nations right now are the United States, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Brazil, Sudan. Like, yes, the United States and Brazil would normally be in here, but like all the other nations are just extremely weird in comparison. So it's like really interesting that it's a lot of like weird nations that are just popping off like crazy. And then you have the normal ones like the United States and Brazil. But I'd say right now, my prediction to win is going to be probably Mongolia. Like, they're just in a good position, or the United States. Like, I'd say if the United States doesn't at least get like one of the top ones, I would just be really surprised. And there's Honduras going down, who's already a puppet of the United States. So it's not like that's a crazy death here. And the United States might take over Brazil. That would be kind of insane in its own right. And wow, rest in peace to Malawi. They were huge in Africa, and it looks like Brazil also might go down at the same time. That would just be insane as well. Okay, Brazil doesn't go down, but they're now a puppet of the United States. The United States basically has the entire Western Hemisphere on their side, or like the whole America is here. So that's very interesting. And there's Greenland and Japan going down at the exact same time. So like, yeah, I just say whoever comes out of the Far East on top is probably going to be one of the leaders. And we also have to take out another nation, and it's going to be Lesotho. Very interesting. And yeah, rest in peace to Lesotho. And like, that's actually a reasonably big nation. Like, I wouldn't say they're huge, but you know, they're definitely bigger than a lot of the other nations. And then after this, I think we're going to go to a 25-year schedule where we take out the weakest nation every 25 years, just because there are a lot less nations now. But yeah, rest in peace to Jordan as well. Feels bad. Kazakhstan versus Belarus. Kazakhstan's getting hit on both sides from Mongolia and Belarus, but they're really pushing into Belarus. Okay, they did really well, way better than I would have thought. And we have another one to take out, and it's going to be Brazil. Oh no. Brazil is done, and Togo is fighting against the United States. They're also fighting against Brazil. Very interesting. We're going to speed it up a little bit more, see what happens in 25 years when we have to delete the next nation. But yeah, I'd say honestly right now, there's no one doing better than the United States, but someone else could easily come out on top here. If you just have a couple bad wars, it could really swing a whole different way. And I don't know, it's very interesting to see who is winning, because just like looking at what's going on here, New Zealand is somehow really strong. But like, is New Zealand really going to win this entire thing? I don't know. Vietnam goes down. Wow. Oh my God, Vietnam deleted from the earth. Vietnam, I feel like, was doing pretty well. But yeah, whoever is going to come out of this East Asian area is just going to be insanely strong. And Mongolia does look like the clear like leader right now, but we'll see. I mean, New Zealand's also relatively strong. There's Belarus going down and the Congo at the same time. And it's also time to take out another nation. It's going to be the Philippines. The Philippines is that 25-year nation going down. Okay, so now we only have 15 nations left, with only 15 nations left, I feel like it's going to be very hard for like the United States not to win here. I mean, they are, they're actually not as strong as I would have thought. They're only a little bit stronger than Mongolia, and Mongolia is just taking over a lot of land in East Asia. Wow. What is going on here? Zimbabwe is just destroying Sudan, and Sudan looks like they will capitulate. Yeah. Zimbabwe is going crazy. Togo is going crazy in South America. A lot of people that I just would not expect to do well are doing well right now. And yeah, it is very interesting because now there's no Brazil. It's basically all a bunch of random, like, I don't want to say no-name nations, but like Iceland is one of the strongest nations in all of Europe. Kazakhstan is one of the strongest nations in all of Asia. Like, Mongolia is the strongest nation in Asia. Zimbabwe was one of the biggest ones in Africa, and now they're dead. And Kazakhstan also dies as well. So like Namibia, Mauritania are the strongest African nations. Just such a weird group of nations here. Either way, though, we do have to take out a nation right here, and it is going to be India. And then now I'm going to wait another 50 years to delete the next nation. So it's going to be a long time. We're going to really just see these guys can fight it out on their own. And yeah, it is kind of crazy. We're only down to 10 nations left, and Iceland honestly does not look good. There's a lot of nations that just don't look that good. I'd say Mongolia is clearly in the driver's seat here, and then probably the United States is the next best, just because they have so few neighbors. The United States only has 3 neighbors against them. Mongolia has a lot more, but still, I think Mongolia is in a really good position here. I think almost everyone's in a good position. The United States is getting taken over a lot in South America by Togo, and just a lot of these nations just, I don't know. I just don't think they'll do that well. But yeah, the biggest nation in Europe is Germany, which I guess kind of makes sense. It's a kind of normal nation to be doing well. New Zealand is not looking the greatest at the moment. Germany is doing really well in North Africa, and they could honestly capitulate Mauritania. They don't, but they're getting pretty close there. Iran is still doing pretty well as well. I think we just need to speed it up a little more and hopefully get some capitulations here soon. New Zealand does not look good. I think New Zealand could capitulate pretty soon. A lot of pushing. Iran is doing really well, but it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of like deaths here. It's just like I say that, and Togo gets taken over by Mauritania. So now the United States basically has all of South America and North America. Like, they have the entire Americas at this moment. They only have 2 nations on their border, really. I mean, 3, I guess, but the United States is in a great spot, and we're going to have to delete New Zealand. So that basically means that Mongolia is going to be controlling the entirety of East Asia, even though they kind of were because they had New Zealand as a puppet. But like now they actually control the entirety. So it's basically Mongolia on the right side, the US on the left side, everyone else in the middle. So if someone in the middle can pull this off, I would be insanely surprised, but I feel like it's very, very likely that's either Mongolia or the United States here. I don't think anyone else in the middle can really survive onslaughts from both sides, from like the 2 strongest nations being on the side of them and all the other nations that are right next to them. And it looks like Iran might be capitulating pretty soon. They barely survived against, I don't know who this is, Greece. Greece is doing really well as well. Germany might die here. No, I think they'll survive just because of the land in Italy, but they do not look good at all at the moment. They do barely survive. Greece is getting destroyed by Mongolia at the moment. Greece looks like they will capitulate. Germany and Greece capitulate at the same time. Now we're only down to 6 nations left. I'd say again, it literally is only down to 2 nations. It's the United States or Mongolia. Who is going to win here? I really don't know. I would say probably Mongolia just because they have a lot more land, but we'll see. And now it's 2031, and I think I'm going to have to delete the weakest nation. It's going to be Iran. So now we're down to 4 nations left. I'm going to leave it another 100 years before I delete the next one. So they're going to have a lot of time to survive, and I'm not going to delete it if we're in a 1v1 scenario at that point, because I'm just going to let them fight against each other and see who really comes out on top. But it looks not good for Mauritania. So it looks like we're down to 3 nations. Yeah, I think Mauritania is fully gone. Now we're down to 3 nations. It is Namibia, it is Mongolia, and it is the United States. This is just a crazy final 3 because, like, yes, the United States are extremely strong in most games. Mongolia sometimes can be because they start with a lot of land. Namibia would never have expected them to be here, but it is very interesting nonetheless to see just the most random nations in the final here. I'd hope the United States doesn't win just because like it's a boring ending to this, but it is still kind of interesting to see the United States win against all these other random nations and really just persevere to win this one because they weren't really in the greatest spot like the entire game, even though they were one of the top players. But yeah, it is kind of crazy. The United States looks really good. They have Namibia as a puppet at the moment, but they still have to beat Mongolia. Like Mongolia is the other strongest one here, and it seems like the United States doesn't really have the strongest army at the moment, and they have to fight against Namibia at the same time. So they're losing a lot of land. But this is very, very interesting. Yeah, I'm going to let these three fight it out unless one of them gets extremely small, and then I'll just make it a full 1v1 because I do have to delete the weakest nation eventually. But this is very interesting because just swinging back one way to the next. And I'd say it's very, I don't know. It could be any of these three nations winning it because it just depends on if you get a quick one against another big nation. Like Namibia still could win if they just have to capitulate either the United States or Mongolia at this point. And then the other two, they just need to capitulate Namibia first, I'd say. And then you try and full force on the other one. But it's going to be really, really interesting. Namibia does not look good. The United States seems to be taking a lot of land from it. Yeah, the United States just puppeted Namibia again. And I think at this point, it makes sense to, sadly, get rid of Namibia because they are the weakest nation here. It has hit 100 years, and they are also a puppet at this point. So we are down to two nations left. And honestly, it did not look good for the United States there because they ran out of gold. And they still are, someone's ran out of gold between the two of them here. But yeah, United States and Mongolia, the last two nations left. We're going to see who wins out of the two of them. They look pretty evenly matched. The United States has Africa and the Americas, and Mongolia has Asia, most of Europe, and Australia. So it really is like an evenly matched two nations here. And if this goes for another 100 years, I might have to just make them fight to the death and see who wins there. But it looks like the United States is slowly moving and pushing into a lot of where Mongolia was. So honestly, it doesn't really look great for Mongolia at this point because it seems like they're running out of cash a lot more often than the US is. But we'll see. Even though it seems like I don't know. It's really just swinging back and forth. But once it hits 2050, I'm just going to keep on making these guys fight to the death until one of them comes out on top. But we still have a lot more time until that. But yeah, it seems like the United States just slowly but surely pushing into where Mongolia is. Maybe they're losing. Wow. Okay. I guess I just can't speak right now because they just lost a lot of land there, even though their kind of method before was doing really well. It seems like, the United States is running out of gold a lot quicker than Mongolia is. I don't know necessarily the reason for that, but it looks like Mongolia kind of has the upper hand here. And yeah, they are just continuing to push in on the United States. And they're just slowly whittling down the United States' last of their defenses. I think you guys need to fight to the death here. Yeah, fight to the death, Mongolia. You guys seem very evenly matched here. It's going to be really interesting to see who wins. Okay, Mongolia does take a little bit of land. They're pretty evenly matched though, so it wasn't like a crazy amount. They're still fighting again. And not really anything crazy. Just keep fighting. I want to see a winner here. And the United States does not look good. But I mean, it just seems like they are somehow pushing at certain times and then they're somehow getting pushed back at other times. Like these are the two most even nations, and it does not seem like we're going to come out with a winner for a while. Can we just, come on guys, okay, I'm going to cut for a little bit and we're going to make this the exact same thing, but they're going to have way more gold and way more time. So they're going to have like 100,000 gold and it's just going to be one final battle. Okay, now officially both nations have 50,000 gold. I'm honestly going to not keep them on a fair playing field, even though Mongolia is stronger at the moment. Combat efficiency is higher, but we'll see. They'll probably peace out relatively soon. So they are kind of on a fair playing field at the moment. And somehow they just both lost all their money that quickly. Very confused. Very just don't really know what just happened. But it seems like Mongolia is making a huge push at the moment. And yeah, it really does not look good for the United States. And you guys have to fight to the death. Come on. Yeah, it's really not looking good for them. It seems like Mongolia is taking over a ton of land at the moment. And honestly, this might be a rest in peace to the United States. They look like they're about to capitulate, potentially. Okay, but Mongolia, it does seem like is going to be the winner here. I'm going to still give it a couple more minutes to see if they can fully take out the United States here. But yeah, now they became a puppet. Honestly, just keep fighting these guys. Like I don't really understand the puppet system here. Just let's fight to the death. Let's get a final winner here. Yeah, I feel like it's very, very unlikely at this point that the United States could pull off a win here. You also just got to keep fighting. I just want to see the capitulation. I want to see Mongolia take over the entire world. And, okay, come on, guys. You guys are just cucking me right here. Just let's see a winner here. I just want to see officially Mongolia to be the win. Okay, come on, bro. And I think once they take out Panama, oh my god, they just keep switching to new cities. Okay, officially there, Mongolia is the winner of I deleted the weakest country until there's only one left.